Hello, everybody. Well, it's a beautiful Thursday morning up here in the mountains where I'm at. And, I'm coming to you. I'm a person who walks in the Lord, and I usually am focused upon areas of the Lord. And I know He's been guiding me, and I was just taking it to Him of Lord, am I to start talking politics, and because He's been having me, pay attention. Something I used to never was in, and then He, started blessing me with the understandings, of not just here in the United States, but all around the world. Because when you walk in the Lord, you want for people all around the world, not just here. And I keep taking him, taking things to him about what's going on today, and because the things that I'm hearing, pertaining to our government, of what it is, of especially when I start hearing of whether angelic, people that's walking in God, and what I'm seeing, I'm like, yeah, no, this is not scripture, this is not things going in the Bible. And so, I've taken it to him, and well, he's blessing me to get on here, and I want to share my heart with you on, what what's been blessed upon me, and I know he's blessing me, with what I feel, and because it's not a one-sided area, it is to see our country survive, and not just our country, but for all countries, because we all need each other. And what's going on right now is that area of shutting out, and I you'll have to excuse me because I start hearing, things of what the Lord's blessing to me, and like upon scripture about when you get yourself into an area, by yourself. A lot of times that's Satan, because he wants to keep you from being a partaker upon, people's, especially people's of the Lord, because he doesn't want you to grow. And that's what we're kindly doing here, is being shut out from all the rest of the world, secluding ourselves, and that's not a good thing, because we need each other. We are meant to stand together, you know and so what I'm going to go into first is, because I get really into the areas of what it is of the Lord. Well, I want to talk about our government, and what I'm being shown, and I, because I see it, I'm like, okay, Lord, you know we are going and speaking against President Trump, and let me tell you what, yeah, I'm telling you, he's not a good president. He's not. I don't. I know everybody thinks he is, but he's not the one that makes the world. It's not his decisions. It is the Republicans and the Democrats, the Senate, the congressional, the judicial, from the lowest courts all the way to the Supreme Court. That's what makes our country great. Not one man. We need our Republicans, and we need our Democrats, and what we need is Republicans and Democrats that are loyal to the Constitution, loyal to the Constitution to benefit the people of our country. We need our congressional, the Senate, the representatives that have our full judicial to be loyal to the Constitution, to hold up the Constitution, not to be loyal to a man, you know, and so as we go towards, of speaking against the president, we need to be talking to the Republicans, because it cannot be a one-sided. We need both. of the Republicans and the Democrats. I'm considered a Democrat, but I'm going to tell you, I vote both ways, because if I see someone that is holding up areas of, that I see and sounds good for our country, I vote for that person. you know and if it's somebody that's been up there that's become stagnant, I don't want to see that person in there, because it's like, I don't want to see somebody that's just used to getting their paycheck now, comfortable in their seat, and doing nothing for, that benefits, the big picture of our government for the people, and not just for our people, because for United States to be strong benefits the world. And we're hearing that. God has been blessing this country. I've said this many times now. God has blessed this country. We have prospered. We have prospered because we are always helping other countries. We are there. We are like a leader in helping other countries, doing for other people, not just for us. We can't just think of ourselves. We've got to think of others. And to hear that a lot's going on due to an angelic movement, I keep asking the Lord, where's Jesus in this? Where's Jesus in this? Because I'm a true believer that things are happening, and things are going to happen on a falter area, because we are now supporting a genocide. We can't do that. That's not a God. The Lord created us all. Every man, woman, and child, everything for His glory. Jesus died for all, not for just a certain type of peoples. He died for us all. Jewish first, then Gentiles. He said, I must go to the house of Israel first. And then, but he blessed, God blessed the Gentiles in the very beginning of the Testament. Who are the Gentiles? Well, that's pretty much all of us. It's not Jewish, it's not Hebrew. And so we've got to consider, the big picture of what's going on here, because our country's being destroyed, and people got to quit deluding themselves, and we need to start, confronting our Republican Party that is supporting a man, that is wanting to rule in such ways. Because you see, it is the Republicans and the Democrats and the Republicans, however you want to say it. We need them. They're the one that holds it together. He can't do no more than what the House comes, allows him to do, because the House, holds him accountable from running amok. The Constitution holds everyone accountable from running amok. And it can't be about money. It can't be, and any angelic that's up there saying, standing into this area, God says you can't serve God and mammon, at the same time. It's one or the other. And so this can't be about money. We have been so blessed. They talk about the deficit, but let me tell you what, we have been blessed all these years, of all that's been going on, for this country, because we're always, doing for other countries. We have been a leader in that, and other countries we have become dependent upon in that area, which also, that's where the Republicans and Democrats, Republicans, the whole government, come together in instead of fighting, come to agreements, in areas. And I can go into areas, because I'm like, my gosh, there's things I don't like, but I know there's a way, because everyone has choice, but there's a way for things to be done to where they can come to agreement. I do not agree on Democrats thinking that Democrat way is the only way. It's not. There's areas that the Democrats agree, want, that needs to be limited. I'm not going to say discarded, but limited. The same with Republicans. There's areas that Republicans want that needs to be limited because of, upholding the Constitution, you know. And I'm going to tell you the one, like the LB, I can never remember how to say that, transgenders. Okay, as a Christian, I'm going to tell you what, gay was in the Bible way back in the day, you know. Now this area of people wanting to go, whether they were born a boy or a girl, and they want to go have that operation. See, I'm in an area that when I seen that 14-year-old girl that they put up there to fight for such a thing, I was appalled. I was so appalled, because I'm a true believer that a child, before ever being allowed to do such a decision, should become an adult. Just like drinking, smoking, we put a limit on that. That was a good thing, from preventing our youth from destroying their bodies at an early age. When they become adult, well, then they can choose. But as a child, there needs to be a limit on when they are allowed, once they become their own person of an adult. Well, then they want to go get a sex change, they can go get a sex change. And it must be out of their own pocket. That we should not have to pay for that. That should not be upon the people. That's just that. It's like we might as well go pay for everybody's breast plants, facial surgeries, and because that's exactly what this is. You can say no, it's not the same, but it is the same. It's a person wanting to change into another person, you know and that's where Republicans and Democrats can come together. Okay, they're not in agreement upon this. The thing is people have a choice. God gave us choice, and we have a choice of what we want to do. And it's a thing of, in hopes that they'll understand, and won't go to that area. Be who you are as you are. You know what I mean? Because that's where a lot of this has come in, is because we've started allowing these things to happen. And now, it's one thing adults do, and it's another thing when you start giving children this authority. Children were not meant to have such an authority. They must wait, just like if they can't drink until they're 21. Well, by George, they ought to not be able to have an operation till they are of 18 years old, or whatever the age limit there, to when they're out of their home on their own, living as an adult. Then they can decide of what they're going to do, but it must be out of their own pocket. Why should we have to pay for that? When it comes to being on other teams, no, I do not agree on that. Because the biological body is different. You can switch yourself to be a woman, but you're still a man, and you still have manly areas. And it's not fair in competition, of whether in school or any other league, of being in such an area. And I believe in transparency. I know if I was to date and I found out that man was a woman, I would be very, very upset. Very, very upset to find out that I was deceived because someone, wanted to do a sex change, now living as one area, but totally the other. Because that person still has the woman, was born a woman, so I would be very upset because of the lack of transparency there. I believe in transparency, that we don't have to live a lie. People to be who they are as they were born. If you're born gay, you're gay. Whether whatever the case is. You are who you are. That thing of loving people of who they are. And they want to change their area then they still have to walk by the laws of the way they are, you know. Because I do, I mean, this is where Republicans and Democrats can come together, you know, in an area, because we can't force people to you know, to be in a way, because that's not of God, you know. For one thing, you know, they have choice, people have choice. And but we can't put a limit, just like on drinking, you know. Can't drink as a child, but once you become an adult, hey, you can do whatever you know, as well, whatever you want, with the consequences if you do something bad. But you know, so it's coming together, you know, with of getting our government to start working together on these things, you know, and it not be a one-sided. They can come together in an agreement, you know, on solving these situations of life for people, instead of dictating. Because you know, as to say, a Christian, because I'm a Christian, I'm a God walking woman, and I love the Lord, and I love walking in His Word, for He gave people choice, you know. And it's and the Lord's the one, you know, we are to pray, and the Lord's the one that will bring them forth, to give them understanding, you know, to guide them of who they are, of who they are. I know a very flamboyant gay man that has come to the Lord, and he's literally, you know, he literally, what, he's still a flamboyant gay man, but he does not allow himself to get into the flesh of it all any longer. You know, he has chosen the Lord, and he devotes his life to the Lord, and now has become this major baker, you know, and has got such a life, you know. And of what it is for him to change us, you know, instead of getting up there in the government and thinking that you can try to push things upon people. Because you know, when it comes to putting religion and politics together, God gave people a choice, and we need to keep that upon understanding, and of what it is for us to love everybody of where they're at, you know, whether whatever color. And that's another thing, you know, upon taking our history away, things happened. No matter how much you destroy it, it's there, it's happened, you know. God created us all. God created us all. And you know, we have very smart people in all different ethnics of life, and we've got very not smart people in all ethnics of life. You know, we've got people, and the Lord bless me about this, we've got people that, you know, very businessmen and women, that you put them in a farm, they ain't gonna know what to do. You put a farmer up into a business area, they ain't gonna know what to do. You know, everybody of what the Lord blesses us with, the knowledge He blesses us in our area, you know, He did that for a purpose. You know, we are all meant, you know, to stand as He blesses us to stand, you know. And it's not one is better than the other. We are all meant to stand together. We need our farmers, you know, and we need that of our business people, you know, because it all comes together, you know. And we need our government to be who they are supposed to be, and it's not one-sided. It can't be all Democrat, it can't be all Republican, it can't be all liberal. We need everyone to come together and work together, you know. And where you're not in agreement, work it out to where it will work out. And just, you know, that's what we need. And because that's what's going to put President Trump in his place, is by the whole government coming together and doing what they're supposed to do, and not be a loyal to a man. Because truly, the president is, when once he steps up in presidency, he's not supposed to be a Republican, and he's not supposed to be a Democrat. He is supposed to be for, you know, for all, you know. He's not supposed to be a one-sided, you know, neutral. He's supposed to be neutral at that point. Our judicial system and the Supreme Court, it is not supposed to be for Republicans, and it's not supposed to be for Democrats. From the Supreme Court all the way to the lowest of the courts, it is supposed to hold up the Constitution, the law, the way of what they took they spoke of their loyalty of the law, and the Constitution, holding up the Constitution. That just like when I worked in nursing, we spoke of what what we are to stand in, and it is being held from me of what I'm trying the word I'm trying to say, that we all have to take a vow, you know and they take a vow, just like the president does, and we got to uphold that, and we got to want people to uphold that. And it can't be about money. It cannot be about money. And the rich needs to understand, it's us. If they want to call us little piss ants, well, it's us piss ants that makes them rich. Because if it wasn't for us, because we're the buyers, we're the one that buys the products, and if we're not there, how do they get rich? Unless they're just trying to hang on to what they have. But what about the newcomers? So we all need to work together in this, and come together, and not just for us, but for all the nations, because we need them all. We need Canada, and we need China, and we need well, every country. We need them, and they need us, that we can all come together as meant to come together, and when we stand strong together, when we have a country that cares to start trying to run amok and be a stinkweed, well, all of the countries come together. It's going to prevent them from trying to do anything, because we all stand firm together. That's a chain not easily broken. But you start making yourself, in a singular, well, you don't have no one there to support you. And I had these movies coming up, like the day after, I think it's called The Day After Tomorrow, with Dennis Quaid, where the people went to Mexico because the whole northern atmosphere froze. And it's like, right now they'd probably tell us, I think not. you know I mean, is because unfortunately, what the government does affects all the people. Is many innocents get hurt due to the stupidity of the ones that's in lead. It's just like countries, I think of Yemen, and even the Palestine. Of what's going on. No matter what peoples are the no-gooders. It's not everybody. There are the innocents in there that's being destroyed. That it's not even a part of that. And that's just like United States. If we got bombed due to our president, well, we're the ones to suffer it. That's not in agreement with what's going on, but it doesn't matter, because the countries don't know that. All they know is United States. Just and that's just what it is. And so just know that the way to get to this situation is, we need to start bombarding the Republicans to stand up to the Constitution. Stand up and uphold the Constitution, because when they start doing that, and coming together with the Democrats to stand up for the Constitution. The Republicans and Democrats have stood together and impeached presidents, whether Republican, whether Democrat, of a president. Because once that president's in office, it doesn't matter whether he's a Republican or Democrat. It matters of whether he's doing what's supposed to be done. We can't have a president that's running amok, that wants to uh, 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 be a dictator. We can't have that. It doesn't work. And our country is being destroyed right now. We have been blessed. That's why people want to come to us, because our country has been blessed. And that umbrella of the Lord is literally, for me, it's being lifted off. I'm seeing so much destruction in the United States, things happening that's like, wow, due to the stupidity of it all. That's why I think of when I've seen all these airplane crashes, all of the things that's going on in the aviation area. I think about Elon Musk, took away the contract of Verizon for all of the towers, for the airports. And now things are running amok. Their equipment's falling down to the point where even the people up there are feeling the depression of it, due to all of the errors and the danger that's going on in our skies. People are getting afraid to fly. I just watched a thing on New York, and of what it is to get back where we were. Why try to fix something that wasn't broken? you know and these tariffs, it's okay if China busts their butts and do all that they do. Hey, they're doing it. It's just like the rich get rich because they do what they do, of being smart on business and stuff. Well, by George, whether it be China or whatever country, if they are producing, what is it for us to say, oh, no, no, no? And if our business are going over there, it's their choice, it's their reasonings. It's the thing is it's not affecting us truly economically. It's a matter of fact, I'm hearing more companies having to fold due to this. It's okay for people, other countries, to make money too. you know it's that area of us all coming together, and working together, because we're not the only ones that buy from them. It's other countries. Just we have countries that buy from us. The Lord blessed each country to have things that other countries will benefit from. He could have made one country ever so with everything, but he didn't. All around the world there is, he has blessed, what the needs of the people, in our lands all around the world. And that's why we need to come together, because it's meant that way. It's meant for us to come together, of course, in Christ, as children of God. For we are meant to stand together. It's okay to buy from other countries and other countries buy from us. These tariffs are not good. They are not good for the peoples. It's making it harder on our on all around the world. And let me tell you, for United States to think that United States is all that, these countries could come together and work together and literally isolate us for us to only have what we have here, to literally cut us off, and for us to have an understanding just how mighty we think we are, you know and we do need to not want to take over Canada, and we do need to not want to take over Panama, and we do need to not want to take over Greenland or Gaza. That's not our territories. We do not need that. We are fine in the United States. People do not want us trying to conquer their land. That's like someone wanting to come over and conquer United States because they want United States. How would we feel about that? And so let's just start pushing on to the Republicans, and to stand and start standing in the Constitution of what they were voted for, as well as the Democrats. And when it comes time to vote, by George, start voting, getting people in there that are ready to uphold the Constitution, and get rid of the ones that are caring to be devoted to the person and literally deny the Constitution that holds our country together. In God we trust. As He blesses us with a good president, we just need to get a good president up there. And the thing is President Trump could be a good president. you know well, I don't know. As he says, he's a real estate man. He sees everything real estate. So it's not that I hate the guy. I pray for him, but I just know that things are not good. The way things are going right now, he's isolating us. He's in an area of many kings in the past that wanted to conquer the world. Well, see, that's what's going on right now. And we don't need that. So I don't know what I'm going to put on this as a title, you know. So I know y'all got your own opinions, but this is just how I feel about it. It's not attacking the president, it's attacking the Republicans, because we need the Republicans to start standing up for the Constitution. I'm not saying get rid of the Republicans, because I am a true believer that we need the full body, good Republicans, good Democrats, good liberals, our House of Representatives, the full Supreme Court. We can't have people that's of loyalties to people. We need every one of those judges to stand up for the law as meant to be, of what they took an oath for. That's what I was looking for, oath. What they took an oath for, right down to the very bottom, the lowest of our judicial system. What they took an oath for. Our lawyers, to be the lawyers that are meant to be the lawyers, to stand up and not to bow their knee to a man. We need our people, the United States, to stand up in the Constitution that this United States will be a strong country. That's what's making us a strong country, is as people are standing up, for their country. That's what we need. That's what we need is, and I think of Zelensky, of Ukraine. That young man makes me think of King David, because even in the midst of the war, he stays right there with his people. When he was overseas and they started getting bombed, he hustled back to his country to be with his people, at the very low level of where it's being destroyed. He wanted to be right there with his people. That's what we need. We need for all of us to want to come together to be there for all of us, from the very top, to all of us, the peoples. Love you guys, and y'all have a very blessed day. Talk to you later.